Season, so it is time for some opening statements. Louis Riddick, I turn to you first. What's your opening statement before the season begins?
Look, Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, is a legit MVP candidate. Think about this last year. He was third in total QBR, fifth in completion percentage over expected. The last time we saw him on the field in the wild card against the Chicago Bears, he threw for 323 yards and 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did not lose that game. QB wins is not a quarterback stat. He did everything he could to help that football team. This year, last week, against the Denver Broncos, in the preseason, he was 5 of 7, damn near perfect. This guy's on fire. I'm telling you, he's going to be in the MVP discussion at the end of the year, no doubt.
They are the best team in the NFC North. He is an MVP candidate. Yep. And when Micah Parsons comes back, look out.
Wow, I completely agree with everything you both said, except I do have the Lions and NFC North. The best thing about Jordan Love, last year he was the best third and long quarterback in the entire NFL. That means his passes are perfect. That's what that means. And I think you're going to see that. I talked to Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love a couple weeks ago at Packers training camp. They talked about how smart he's getting with the protections, get him in the right look. I love everything about that offense.
It just makes it look so easy, man, and it's natural to him.
As a thrower of the football, he's as good as it gets. They're going to be without Micah Parsons to start the year, so they'll need that offense. Kevin Clark, give me an opening statement.
I've been going back and forth on the NFC East for a couple weeks now. The final answer is in. The Cowboys will make the playoffs, but the Eagles still win the NFC East. This Cowboys team, to me, is so good. They would win a bunch of other divisions in the NFL. Their offense is going to be at worst top 5. Their defense, Quinnen Williams, Caleb Downs. I like them getting to at least average and winning double-digit games, guys.
I have it flipped. I have the Cowboys winning the division. I actually think the Eagles have more questions right now than the Cowboys. Two excellent teams, but I think Dallas wins this division with a revamped defense.
Hey, look, you know what? We've talked about Caleb Downs all the time when we're just talking about who's going to be the focal point of this revamped defense. Remember the name. We'll talk about him later on. Deshaun Barham, their draft pick from Michigan. He, to me, outside of Caleb, maybe even more so than Caleb, I'm just going to say this, may be the most consequential draft pick that they've made this year. This guy could be the best linebacker they have had there since Sean Lee, back in the early 2000s. This guy is that good. Trust me when I say this. Just watch his tape from last week.
It's going to be a very interesting division race. Remember, they open with division games. Cowboys and Giants will play on that Sunday night Week 1 opener. Mike T, give us an opening statement.
Greeny, the Cleveland Browns got the quarterback decision completely wrong. I had a sign up in our building, "In God We Trust." For everyone else, we need data. Show me the data that over 6 years, you've played in 19 games, been suspended 11, had shoulder surgery, tore your Achilles tendon twice, and then 6 years later came back and played 17 games at a high level. Shedeur Sanders, to me, has really compelling upside. I know it hasn't been perfect. Most young quarterbacks are a little bit bumpy, but he has real upside. Where are we going with free agent to be Deshaun Watson?
What did you think of it?
You know what? Honestly, at this point, I just don't even care. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter anymore. And look, we know. Look, I am a believer in Shedeur Sanders. I'm a believer in the way he's been brought up in the game of football, and I believe, given a fair and equitable shot, I do believe that he is someone who has starting potential. The Browns don't believe that, though. They have already delivered that message. They don't believe it. And we know that Deshaun is not the long-term answer. So to me, it doesn't really matter. There's just going to be nothing but apathy just flowing through the streets of Cleveland this year because they've already turned the page to 2027. That's just the fact and that sucks for them. It really does. I've heard people talk on the show about the fact that Browns fans shouldn't go there. They should be ticked off. And you know what? As someone who played there for 3 years, when we had some pretty darn good football teams, but we didn't have a quarterback, I understand just how that frustration can roll, and they should be frustrated right now.
I'm with you, Louis. I mean, you go to training camp, and the stands are packed every single year in Brea, Ohio. It is a special place. To say they shouldn't go to games is easier said than done. They love football there. They can't live without it. But I'm with you, Mike. They got this wrong. Shedeur Sanders is the future of this team for this year. Next year, maybe it's Arch Manning, C.J. Carr, Darren Mensah, whomever. But I just don't know what hope you're selling with Deshaun Watson right now. He's in the last year of an albatross contract. It's a disaster. Turn the page.
I had it suggested here that because they open with 2 road games, maybe you're putting him out there to play those 2. If he surprises everyone and plays well, then you keep going. If he plays badly, maybe you make the change even that quickly.
Possible. I don't love that argument. I understand it, and you're going out against two really good teams in the Jaguars and the Bucs who have pass rushers who can hit you pretty good. But Shedeur Sanders is not a rookie. He's played, so I don't have that fear.
Greedy, there's another interesting dynamic. Todd Monken's waited his whole life to be an NFL head coach. He needs to be established.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's one and done, but if I'm Todd Monken, I got to win games early and establish my program and my credibility.
Look, it's really this simple to me. He clearly just doesn't believe in Shedeur and his ability to go ahead and help him do just that.
Yeah.
And I've said this here on this show numerous different times. This should have been a true quarterback competition. Play the guy that gives you the best chance to win games. If Todd thought that Shedeur gave him the best chance to win games, he should be starting, but he doesn't believe that. And if he doesn't believe it at this point, especially considering what the draft capital they have in 2027, look, they've already turned the page on this. They just have, and I hate that for Shedeur. I hate it for Cleveland Brown fans. I don't feel bad for Deshaun Watson. I don't feel sorry for him. He's made his own situation what it is. This is already moving on to 2027, and that's just very unfortunate.
It's depressing because that is a lifetime away in football terms. All right, rolling on. Teams on other ends of the spectrum. Sunday with Ashton Genty, where everyone thought he was seriously hurt. And then yesterday, this moment here with Jamar Chase. How bad did this look? Knee injury. You're going to see him. He's going to limp off and kind of go to the ground. Star receiver says he's fine. It's unclear how much work he's going to do the rest of the preseason, but it does sort of offer a reminder, Lewis. Does it feel like it is now or never for Burrow's Bengals?
Absolutely it does. I think we know, based upon what Joe has said himself in terms of taking the initiative to instill a sense of urgency, within his teammates and within the organization at large, I think that right there is proof positive that he understands that this is his best shot and that time is running out. And for Zach Taylor, time is running out. If they do not look, the playoffs, the inclusion in the playoffs is the floor for them. That's the absolute floor to me. Otherwise, there's going to be significant changes in Cincinnati, especially with all the investments they made on the defensive side of the ball.
Clarky, I was reading your notes last night. You like Cincinnati.
I love this team. They're my AFC favorite right now, which is why I got very worried when I saw this.
AFC favorite, not just the division.
AFC favorite, yes. That's why I got worried when I saw the video of the Chase injury.
Yeah.
It looks to be okay. Jamar Chase said if he had a game tomorrow, he'd play. That's good news. But when I look at this roster, Joe Burrow said it himself. This is the best roster since he's been there. That's because Dexter Lawrence is the most double-teamed guy on the planet the last few years. That's because they signed Brian Cook to solve their tackling woes, of which there were many last year. There's actual talent on this defense. They got better as the season went along last year. They're going to allow less yards after catch with their Achilles heel last year. The offense is going to be good. Give me the AFC champion, Cincinnati Bengals.
It makes a lot of sense. And let's keep in mind, this is the only team in the AFC North that has the same returning head coach, which it's unbelievable. I was saying Cincinnati actually has continuity. I do think they're the best offense in the conference. They should score. And then when you think about closing out games, I agree with what Kevin said. Don't forget about Boye Mafe, Cassius Howell. They have some depth now up front, and I think they are designed as a 2026 team that can take advantage of the scoring rules and now hopefully finish games out.
As much as they are a trendy pick and as good as Joe Burrow is and as many investments they made on the defensive side of the football, you saw the preseason game against Detroit, right? You saw how many times Joe got hit in that game, right?
Yeah.
The offensive line is still a problem. That could derail everything. I love the additions they made on defense, and I'm with you. I'm as optimistic as anyone. This offensive line still scares me. They have never corrected this issue, and I still don't believe it's corrected. I think Joe's going to have to overcome it.
So we'll see if he's able to. In the meantime, we are just getting news in right now from the New York Giants, and it is not good. They have lost Calvin Austin, their receiver, for the season. Shefty is reporting that it is a torn ACL that required him to be carted off the field at practice yesterday. So he was expected, I think, to play a significant role here. This just underlines the significance of Malik Neighbors coming back healthy. What are we thinking about here? The Giants in a... I've got such mixed thoughts. I got some people telling me the Giants are going to be a rocket ship to the moon, and other people saying, slow down, hold your horses. You look like you're on the horses' side.
Yeah, hold those horses. It's not going to be 30 years like your anniversary take, and they'll be a lot better. But again, context is everything. John Harbaugh is taking over a team that's won 7 games in 2 years. And Malik Neighbors is absolutely as maybe indispensable as any non-quarterback in the league. I don't know where their offense is going to come from outside him. Malachi Fields has flashed. Maybe OBJ, they could squeeze a year out of him. But when you think about Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, and Malik Neighbors, Can those 3 good young players get through 17 games?
Can they, if they get through something close to 17 games, can this Giants team go from the thing that people keep pointing to is how many ridiculous games they lost last year.
Yep.
Well, they lose 4
Yep.
double-digit leads in the fourth quarter, something like that, something that had practically been unprecedented.
Impossible. Yeah.
How good are the Giants going to be?
Look, I think defensively they should be much improved. Look, John Harbaugh brings his guy in, Denard Wilson, who he had in Baltimore with him, who I think is an up-and-coming head coaching candidate. They've got playmakers on all 3 levels on the defensive side of the football. If the offensive line stays healthy, it could be very, very good. Isaiah Likely, let's remember that too, at tight end. He's going to have to be the guy who now controls the middle of the field now, especially with them not really having a slot presence now that Wan'Dale's been hurt.
Clarky, you said earlier you like the Eagles to win the division. You like the Cowboys next. Are the Giants a fringe playoff team, or are they not even that good?
They are in the hold your horses bucket
Okay.
right now. Mike T, I completely agree with you, except I do think that Malik Nabers is not on the list for most indispensable guys, only because they had 216 snaps from him last year, and Dart still looked good. He still made progress. So I think the biggest thing is, we talk about culture change with John Harbaugh. The Giants have shown themselves unable to make good decisions unless they have a really strong voice in the room. Someone like a John Harbaugh, a Tom Coughlin, a Bill Parcells before that, obviously George Young. So John Harbaugh is going to come in and completely change how the organization is run. That, to me, is a much bigger deal than whether or not they win 9 games.
I want to push back. If the 4 of us were the opposing defensive coordinator playing the Giants, and let's say Malik Nabers isn't available, and let's hope he is, who are we worried about?
Yeah.
Who are we worrying about wrecking the game?
At this point, probably no one, and they could ill afford a significant injury to a receiver, and now they've got one. So we'll see where they all go. Our next stop is Kansas City. The Chiefs are 19 days away from their season opener, which will be on Monday Night Football against the Broncos, and all signs are pointing to Patrick Mahomes getting back through training camp and being on track to return to the field for that Week 1 game. Yesterday, he was talking about his approach to training camp this season.
To go out there day after day and kind of have the grind of the camp, you know. I mean, that could even be harder than the season. It's been awesome for me to be able to go out there and do that. Exciting. I didn't know if I was going to have to take days off and stuff like that, but my body's responded the right way. And so, honestly, the more we practice, the better I feel like.
So what I think is interesting is, and I've heard variations on this expression over the course of time, but NFL teams lie to you all the time when they speak, right? They tell you that it's part of the job, is to engage in misinformation. No one knows better than Tannenbaum does. They tell you the truth with their actions. And some of the things they've done during this offseason, who was it that said this in our meeting this morning? Some of the acquisitions they've made, the bringing back Eric Bieniemy, bringing in Kenneth Walker III. They're going to run a different offense this year.
Yeah, again, teams tell you who they are by what they do. They didn't go out and try to sign a top-flight receiver, which I think a few of us thought they would. By going to get Eric Bieniemy and Kenneth Walker, I think what they're saying is for this year, knowing that Patrick Mahomes will be Superman again, we don't know when, with an offensive line that has a lot of questions, are we better off trying to control line scrimmage, run the ball a little bit more, which is not Andy Reid's background by any stretch, but you look at the receiver situation between Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, like where are the explosive plays coming from? Let's remember last year they had 1 touchdown pass where the ball traveled more than 20 yards. That's unbelievable when you think about the ability of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, this offense is evolving in a way that maybe aesthetically people aren't going to like, but it's out of necessity. Number one, because I think they understand that capturing the line of scrimmage and playing a physical brand of football, at the end of the day, when you're talking about December and January football, that's how you need to win. Eric Bieniemy is the perfect guy to instill that. I think it's going to help this offensive line, which is obviously working at a deficit when it comes to pass protection on the perimeter. And look, Patrick's game is going to evolve. He's going to have to win with his mind and his mastery of this offense more so than with his improvisational skills. Look, it's just a fact. And you're right. They saw it coming. They saw it coming as soon as he went down. And I think this plan has kind of been put into place for a while now. And this offense, look, it all is going to start up front. We know that the tackle position is one where, look, it's tenuous right now. It's a little bit scary about what's going on the perimeter. You throw on the tape of that Tampa Bay game in the preseason, and you're sitting there going, holy heck. This could get ugly on the perimeter if they have to drop back and throw the football 30, 40 times a game, which they just can't do. They can't do it with the way they're presently constructed.
Hembo hit me with the number that stopped me in my tracks this morning. Last 4 years, pass touchdowns from Mahomes outside the red zone, 18. Okay, 18 for the last 4 years. 4 years before that, 56 touchdowns. outside the red zone. That shows you how different their offense is. It used to be Tyreek Hill down the field, even Travis Kelce down the field, 20-yard throws. That just doesn't happen anymore. It's a different type of offense. Now, that's a receiver stat. That's an offensive line stat. That's a Mahomes stat. He's just changing a little bit. The offense is changing. But to your point, Mike, Kenneth Walker makes everything easier. Run the ball, get those safeties to come down, bang. If you want to go over the top, you can.
That's an amazing number. I mean, that is about as stark a jump or a drop off as you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it sure is. And look, I think people need to also understand and remember too, like they didn't necessarily, they made an offer to Tyreek Hill. They didn't just let him walk out the door.
Right.
They wanted to try and keep him. I just don't think that they believe that it would be as consequential as it has been, as shown by those statistics, his departure from this football team. It just shows you just how good that young man was in that offense.
They've also brought in other young guys, and those guys need to get it done.
That's right. They have it.
And other people.
They thought it was going to be Xavier Worthy with the speed down the field. Hasn't happened.
Yep. Maybe eventually it will be. We'll see. They're obviously always a fascinating team. And then there are the teams that are already thinking about next year. And the march for Arch. It begins